Attempted murder of Zhu Ling, a bright student of China's most prestigious university, remains to be one of the most popular unsolved cases of the country. What started as what everyone thought were flu symptoms ended up almost taking her life and leaving her with the mental capacity of a 6-year-old. No one would have known it was a murder attempt if not for the efforts of two of Zhu Ling's friends and hundreds of doctors from around the world exchanging information on an online forum. Just what were the events that led to this? Who was out to kill her? What exactly did they have to do to make sure almost no one finds out? Above all, was justice served? Let's find out. Zhu Ling was a sophomore at Tsinghua University in Beijing, where she majored in physical chemistry. She was described by her classmates and professors as an attractive, intelligent, and talented student. She excelled not only in academics but was also a talented musician. As perfect as her student life was during her second year in the university, Zhu Ling suddenly showed strange symptoms by December of 1994. This included acute stomach pain and extensive hair loss. She was hospitalized at Tongrong Hospital, during which doctors concluded that she was just experiencing the winter flu. Following her hospitalization, her condition gradually improved and she was allowed to get back to class. On March of the following year, however, after a flawless performance at a recital, she started to exhibit symptoms again. Only this time, she had worsened. The symptoms now included pain in the legs, partial facial paralysis, and the inability to breathe, to the point that she had to be placed on a respirator. Doctors were baffled and had no idea what could be going wrong with Zhu Ling, as she had no history of a fall or a trauma to the head and had absolute no history of any neurological defect. The sudden set of symptoms just could not be explained or fathomed. Until a Dr. Li Shunwei, a physician at Peking Union Medical College Hospital, strongly suspected thallium poisoning, as he had seen a resemblance to a diagnosis he had had in the 60s. Zhu Ling, however, denied any known exposure to thallium during her classes and lab experiments. This was also confirmed by the chemistry department at her university. Ultimately, the doctors had to rule this out and once again were clueless of what her condition could be. As time went on, Zhu Ling's condition only worsened and worsened. This led two of her good friends Chai Chuan-ching and Bei Chi-chen to sought for help online. In April, they started posting letters on a number of forums and groups on the internet, and it read, "Doctors in China are unable to diagnose this disease. Help." They described Zhu Ling's conditions and symptoms, and in a matter of hours, thousands of responses from Western physicians came in. Roughly a third proposed the possibility of thallium poisoning, further suggesting giving Zhu Ling doses of Prussian blue, thallium poisoning's known antidote. Zhu Ling's doctors were skeptical at first, having already scratched off thallium poisoning as a probable cause. However, after subsequent tests and pretty much having nothing to lose anymore as her condition was only worsening, they started to administer doses of Prussian blue. Almost instantly, Zhu Ling got better and was saved from the brink of death. The antidote had saved her life, but the neurological damage that she suffered were irreplaceable. She recovered the ability to breathe without a respirator, but she has lost the ability to speak, remains largely paralyzed and visually impaired, and has been left with the mental capacity of a 6-year-old. The once young, bright, and talented student was left crippled and unable to function without 24/7 care. Soon after, it was discovered that Zhu Ling had in fact been exposed and had even been ingesting thallium for months with increased amounts towards the last weeks. In fact, almost 10 times a lethal dose was found in her system. The fact that she was able to survive the poisoning was considered to be a miracle in itself. Now, if Zhu Ling was never involved in any experiment or class with direct contact to thallium, how was she poisoned? All the signs immediately pointed to none other than Sun Wei, Zhu Ling's own roommate. Sun Wei came from a wealthy family, even politically connected. However, compared to Zhu Ling, she was only considered average when it came to academics and musical talent. Schoolmates reported that Sun Wei was jealous of Zhu Ling's talents and intelligence. How could a less privileged peer be better than her? Above everything, as a science major and research assistant to a top professor, Sanvi had access to Singhwa's modern lab of obscure chemicals, which included thallium, a soft metal that is odorless, has no trace, and a single gram has the ability to inflict a long and lingering death when ingested. Sanvi was questioned by the police for 8 hours, but she was quickly released. The case became cold with no new leads and was closed in 1998. Everything was quiet until 10 years later when in 2005, a former student of Tsinghua University went online to accuse Sunway as the only person who could have poisoned Zhu Ling, having means, motive and opportunity. Even after all these years, however, and even when the case was still fresh, Sunway seemed to be protected. It was alleged that her family had close ties to the then president, as well as a senior mayoral official in Beijing. Over the years, classmates and peers have spoken up. How Sunway had been completely indifferent and hostile to her dying roommate. It seems that Sunway was not very discreet about her jealousy of Zhu Ling's talents. Sunway eventually moved to the US and has now supposedly changed her name into Jasmine Sun, leaving the case still cold and no justice has been served for Zhu Ling's condition. At one point, Sunway did post her own response, saying that she too was a victim of hearsay and hostile public opinion. She then went on to add that the lab's security during the time was relaxed and that anyone could have gotten their hands on what they wanted. For the rest of us, the question still remains. Who poisoned Zhu Ling? Was it really Sunway? Was there really a cover-up, or was it someone else? Someone who had access to thallium as well? Will the truth ever be uncovered? Was justice served? You tell me.